Imagine a world where the most powerful religious leader, the Pope, was suddenly declared a fraud by the very people who put him in power. This is not a story from a distant fairy tale, but a real event that happened in the 14th century, a time of great turmoil and chaos. The year was 1378, and the Catholic Church was about to be torn apart by a schism that would last for nearly 40 years. This schism, known as the Western Schism, was not about religious beliefs or doctrines. It was about power, pride, and the struggle for control. In 1378, the Catholic Church was in a unique position. For nearly 70 years, the popes had resided in Avignon, France, rather than in Rome, Italy. This period, known as the Avignon Papacy, was marked by French influence over the Church and a growing resentment among Italians who longed for the return of the papacy to Rome. When Pope Gregory XI died on March 27, 1378, the stage was set for a dramatic and tumultuous conclave to elect his successor. 16 cardinals were present in Rome for the conclave, and they were divided into 3 main groups: 1 Spanish cardinal, 4 Italian cardinals, and 11 French cardinals split between 2 rival factions, the Limousins and the Gallicans. These French cardinals were not just divided by their regional loyalties, they were also deeply suspicious of each other. The Limousins and Gallicans each feared that the other would use the papal election to gain an advantage, and this mistrust created a toxic atmosphere of competition and hostility. The situation was further complicated by the arrival of a deputation of Roman citizens, who demanded that the next pope be an Italian, preferably a Roman. The cardinals, aware of the potential for violence from the Roman mob, were under immense pressure to comply with these demands. However, the 2 Roman cardinals, Tebaldeski and Orsini, were either too old and infirm or too young and inexperienced to be considered viable candidates. This left the cardinals with a difficult decision: choose a candidate who could bridge the divide between the French factions or risk the wrath of the Roman people. In the end, the cardinals decided on a compromise candidate, Bartolomeo Prignano, the Archbishop of Bari and Vice-Chancellor of the Curia. Prignano was a Neapolitan of humble origins, known for his hard work and apparent modesty. The cardinals believed he would be a pliable and governable figure, someone they could easily control and who would be willing to return the papacy to Avignon. However, they vastly underestimated Prignano's ambition and the impact that the papal throne would have on his personality. On April 8, 1378, the cardinals announced the election of Prignano as Pope Urban VI. The news was met with a mixed reaction. The Roman people, initially pleased by the election of an Italian, soon became disillusioned as Urban VI began to assert his authority in ways that alarmed the cardinals. Urban, now elevated to the highest position in the Church, became increasingly autocratic and confrontational. He publicly rebuked the cardinals for their luxurious lifestyles and absenteeism, accusing them of simony and corruption. He also took steps to reform the Church, but his methods were harsh and undiplomatic, often bordering on cruelty. Urban's behavior quickly made him enemies among the cardinals. He accused them of accepting bribes, limiting their meals to 1 course, and even threatening physical violence. One particularly dramatic incident occurred when Urban, in a fit of rage, moved to strike the Cardinal of Limoges, only to be restrained by Robert of Geneva, a French cardinal. The cardinals, who had once believed they could control Urban, now felt that he had become a dangerous and unpredictable leader. The situation reached a breaking point when Urban refused to return to Avignon, as the cardinals had hoped. Fearing for their lives and reputations, the cardinals decided to take drastic action. They claimed that Urban's election had been invalid due to the duress they had experienced from the Roman mob. On August 9, 1378, they issued a declaration to all Christendom, declaring the papal throne vacant and anathematizing Urban as an anti-Christ, devil, apostate, tyrant, deceiver, elected by force. The cardinals then moved to the papal summer resort at Anagni, where they elected a new pope, Robert of Geneva, who took the name Clement VII. This act of electing a rival pope marked the beginning of the Western Schism, a period of division in the Catholic Church that would last until 1417. The schism had far-reaching consequences. It divided the Church, with different regions and sovereign powers aligning themselves with either Urban VI or Clement VII. France, naturally, supported Clement, while England and much of the Holy Roman Empire remained loyal to Urban. The division created a sense of uncertainty and confusion among the faithful, who were now faced with the difficult choice of which pope to follow. The schism also had political implications. In Naples, for example, Urban VI declared war on Queen Joanna, accusing her of misrule and threatening to depose her. This conflict further destabilized the region and drew in other powers, such as the Kingdom of Aragon, which supported Joanna. The schism also provided an opportunity for other rulers to assert their independence from the Church, as they could now choose which pope to support based on their own political interests. The schism lasted for nearly 40 years, during which time the Church was divided and its authority weakened. The conflict was eventually resolved at the Council of Constance in 1417, which deposed both Urban VI and Clement VII and elected a new pope, Martin V. However, the damage had been done. The schism had exposed the Church, its internal weaknesses and vulnerability to political manipulation, and it had eroded the trust of the faithful in the papacy. In the end, the Western Schism was a tragic and unnecessary event, born out of the personal ambitions and rivalries of a few powerful individuals. It serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power and the importance of unity and humility in leadership. The story of the Western Schism is a reminder that even the most sacred institutions can be torn apart by the same human flaws that plague us all.